I love my work so hard that I broke myself like repeatedly. And it was only on a burnout number 7 when my wife was like, I think you should do something about this. Like, I love you, but it's hard to live with you because, you don't leave the house, you work hard. I appreciate your work ethic. It's amazing, but look after yourself, like we need to do this better.
As creative freelancers, we love what we do and enjoy being our own boss. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Burnout is sadly familiar to many of us, including this week's guest, Radim Malinic, who wants to offer some help. Taking all that he's learnt from running his own studio brand new, the creative director, graphic designer and author has just released 2 new books, Creativity for Sale and Mindful Creative. These new titles are based on his own experiences over 2 decades and offer solid advice and wisdom to help you triumph as a small business owner and hopefully avoid making the same mistakes. Radim talks of his struggles of working too hard and sometimes for the wrong people too. He covers the kind of juicy stuff any of us could benefit from, but if we're honest, more often than not, we have to experience for ourselves before the lesson truly sinks in. He shares the good stuff too, and there's plenty of that. So if you've just gone freelance or been running a business for some time, we're sure our conversation will have you nodding in agreement and give you some extra reassurance that you're not alone. And these are things we all go through. Radim, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, you've launched 2 new books just recently, and one is a how-to guide showing creatives how to have successful creative careers or businesses, whilst the other acts as a roadmap on how to cope with the ups and downs of creative life and work. I mean, wow, that's a lot of work for yourself.
It is indeed, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show. It's yeah, I mean, you've been asking me on the social, what's the secret? And the secret is just being obsessive about getting the thing done. And I've been recently on a sort of mission just to make sense of the first 20 years of my career, because no one has a business plan. No one thinks what we should do because we are obsessed about the thing we want to do every day. So for me, graphic design came, as a sort of came to me in my early 20s as an idea of like, okay, I can maybe be earning through this means, because in my past, I mean, I don't have the linear graphic designer's past or path. And I don't think my future's either linear as the beginning was. I think I just like to explore creativity for what it is. And yeah, 2 books, absolutely obsessive about getting them done. And in a way, actually, I wish I had them done last year, but there's many reasons and many ways why it hasn't happened. And, with pandemics, employees, running studios, having kids, moving houses, dealing with the, cost of living crisis. It's all together. But if I could summarize that process, is like, I have to work out what got me here is not going to get me there, if that makes sense. I had to really knuckle down and work out how to make books, and why not make 2 at the same time, because I've never seen anyone do it. Simple reason.
You definitely like a challenge. And this obviously stems from your own experiences. I mean, you've been running brand new for nearly 18 years. I mean, how did that begin?
It began by accident. I moved to the UK in my early 20s. I think I was 21, and I was born in Czech Republic. I did my creative pursuits over there. I mean, I started as an ice hockey player. I mean, I wanted to join my local ice hockey team before I could even ice skate. I wanted to start a band before I could play a guitar. I wanted to be a DJ with 5 CDs in my hand, like it was always like, I really like what they doing over there. I want to do it. Are you any good at it? No, but let me have a go. I'll work it out. And that kind of went through. It followed from there on being sort of in my sort of early 20s as a DJ in my early 20s. And I wanted to move closer to the music that I loved. I was fans of labels like Ninja Tune and Metalheads and that kind of stuff. All the clubs were having a good times in London, and I was stuck in Czech Republic. So I was like, I'm going to go over there and check it out and see how that goes. Only to find out that I loved the design culture. I mean, obviously England's got its reputation for being one of the best in the world But that was not my aim. All I wanted to do was speak English every day and listen to good music. And going to parties, I picked up all the flyers, leaflets, posters. I was like, oh, wait a minute, there's people who do it. I can be that person, because through my band days, I was making cassette sort of covers and CD covers and stuff. I was always the one that no one wanted to do it. So it was always me. It was like, okay, you can do it. You can give it a go. And I've kind of added it all up. It's literally like making a recipe. I just add it all up. And I was like, all right, I'm in England and I can be a graphic designer. And to stay at that time legally in England, I need to be self-employed. And the lawyer who was doing my visa, I was like, what can you do? I was like, I can do all of these things. I was like, have you ever thought of being a graphic designer? I was like, no, but I'm definitely thinking about it now.
Oh, that's
that was
interesting.
the start. That was the start. I was happy-go-lucky because until 22, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be happy and doing things that make me happy, but I didn't know what they were until the path sort of opened up and showed itself to me. Of course, I didn't walk straight into a well-paid graphic design job. I mean, it was a shit show for quite a while, but it was I literally started not even at the bottom step. I started 5 flights of stairs below the ground zero, and just worked my way up ever since. And I actually haven't stopped since, because all of a sudden the doors open and you just keep opening them, and they're amazing.
Yeah. Oh, the benefit of youth and energy and hope.
Absolutely. I remember sharing house with people who were like designers. I was like, you don't have to go to work, and you can do the things on your computer, like you can do these posters with those people. Oh, it was fascinating. And I soon realized that to do this properly, you need so many processes in place, because you can have all the energy, all the enthusiasm, all the excitement, and it doesn't work out.
So where does this mentality come from then, where you just say, do you know what, I'm just going to jump into the deep end and learn how to swim?
I think you just summarized it earlier as that sort of youthful energy. I've always been regretful of the mistakes I've made. However, I was never shy of making them, if that makes sense. Because if something smells good, you want to know where it's coming from. If something tastes good, you want to know how to make it. It was this. I think it's been the whole process of my life and my career so far. It was just like, I'm not the bravest person, but I might be the most naive, thinking if they do it, I should be able to do it. If that's how it's done, maybe I can copy the process. Maybe I can learn the process. And I think it was just, I mean, I as a child, I had a quite free childhood. Like, there was not many parents sort of orbiting around. I'm from a single parent family with orbiting stepdad, and I was always, I grew up in the 80s. We did everything, climbed the trees, ran the BMX bikes everywhere you wanted.
Yes.
We always had the space to go and explore and do things and, break our legs and do whatever, like that was the past. And I think because of what's technically labeled as a chaos, because my breakfast wasn't ready in the morning, my clothes, I used to go to school on my own. I got up on my own at 6 years old, and I would go across a couple of streets, couple of blocks to the school. It was a lot that you have to sort of work out yourself. So it kind of comes from that mindset that you look after yourself. You almost make your own luck. You put your own pathways in place, and I think that's never stopped. My creativity wasn't taught out of me in school. I thought it wasn't creative enough, so I thought maybe I'll just go and make my own stuff. And through the medium of music, I could see so much first-hand creativity, that the music, how it made you feel, how it made me feel, how it made anyone feel, gave me an idea. Like, if they could do this, maybe I can do this really badly, but I can still give it a go. And the sort of self-esteem and self-doubt didn't exist. When you're a teenager, you're busy being busy, basically.
Yeah.
So
you haven't had life knock you down so much that you're then overthinking about what could go wrong. You just sort of dive straight in, and I think the lack of knowledge and experience is actually a blessing rather than a curse.
Absolutely, yeah. I think being slightly naive, it's slightly. It's just an understatement, slightly. In a creativity for sale, I labeled it as the fuel. You know, everyone needs the fuel. Like fuel is gonna what you see it. It makes you excited. You want to try it, and it couples up with the feel. Like it's your gut feeling. Like I want to do this. Like you see something, makes you feel something, and your fuel is gonna go after it. And my fuel was the idea that I can be a graphic designer and run my own studio. And yeah, I remember buying a PlayStation with San Andreas, like what was it called? The GTA San Andreas.
Yes.
But I forgot to buy a memory card. It was like, the memory card was like the same amount of money as the PlayStation. I was like, I came back from the pub in my mid-20s, you know, happy, slightly drunk. I was like, I'm going to play some San Andreas. And I was bad at this. You know, that's why I was thankful that Twitch came out, because I was really bad at playing computer games. So I just pushed it to the side. I was like, back on the computer, let's do some work. Literally just narrow-minded the focus of what I wanted to do in my life. I wanted to do something with it because I was always tinkering. I was always, you know, in a band rehearsal space. I was always DJing, making posters. And I kind of, carried on. I realized I don't want to do something that's passive. You know, you could be a great esports or games person, but I just wanted to create things and make something out of nothing and make people feel something along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, it's great. And then so 2 decades of running a studio. It's a long time to make mistakes and learn from them. And so how did you sort of go through the process of thinking, okay, what have I learned and how can I structure this? What was the kind of starting point?
I was in retrospective for a decade and a half.
Wow.
there was no, I mean, I was fascinated by the book by Paul Arden. It's called, it's not how good you are, it's how good you want to be.
Yeah.
And I've put up, I mean, I'm thankful that I came up through the ranks in mid 2000s, because if you put up a website, you would have 1 million views on your website in a year, because that's where everyone congregated. Like, basically, this is where it was a singular place to find information about your work. And I was fascinated making club flyers and record covers and all of that stuff. And through my graphic design work, I kind of expanding on adding more elements like illustration, which led me to be officially labeled as an illustrator with an agent, in fact, more than one agent globally. And I was working on advertising campaigns and editorials and stuff. And some of it worked really well. Some of it was really rubbish, but, you know, they let me do it. So they paid me for it. But that's how it was. And then I was kind of realizing, as I was going through the ranks in my sort of early 30s, that you can start recognizing patterns. Like, is this work done well? And especially if you work with a big machine like an advertising agency for a big client, it's pushing boulders up a hill. You know, like if something really works out, if people align on the vision, it becomes quite a laborious task. And sometimes things are amazing. I mean, I had stroke of luck by signing up with agent Chris Page, working for Jelly, and they made my career as an illustrator. They really they made me a lead artist for O2 Germany within of me going freelance for like 6 months or something like that. I mean, I was in the right place, but I wasn't ready, but I was still there. I was doing the work, which was amazing because I could learn firsthand all of those sort of processes and all of those relationships and the way how things were done. And that led me on to then sort of scaling back on being reliant on other agencies or clients or agents on work and building my own studio properly to the point where my love of illustration is still forefront. The visual storytelling is still the forefront. The graphic design elements, geeking out by typography, like all of those elements, you know, music, that's still part of the studio. So it's everything I've picked up in my little basket of life is my daily ingredients for working. And it's easier to work on smaller projects. I mean, not that we work on that many small projects, but, you know, we work on clients with more direct approach, direct contact, work with decision makers, have an open conversations about what we can do and what's possible, because you're mainly told with the bigger work that this is what you're here for, you know? You're a highly skilled plumber. You need to fix that leak. That's pretty much what you do. And you can find yourself in such situations being stuck because you might have a style, you might have a method, and that's what people want from you. And in my life, as you've noticed, I don't do things over and over too often. You know, I just like, oh, I've done this. What's next? What can we explore? What other door can we open? And yeah, all of that in a way has now added up to making books. I was only making books at the beginning to make promotional brochures to show it to clients, because everyone all of a sudden was on the internet. Everyone had an iPad, and I'm not saying people neglected portfolio websites, but and portfolio sort of material. But I was like, look, here's my illustrations, book me, get me, you know, and all of a sudden, again, it was that step 1, 2, 3, 4, which got me to where I am today. So I have actually found, so if it makes much noise, but I have found one of my original booklets, 2007 or 9 or something like that.
2007, gosh.
Maybe 2008. And yeah, it's like literally full of illustrations. Oops, sorry for the noise.
I think I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, it's full of colors and literally it brings me happiness. But if I had this as a digital portfolio, dead, gone, done, you know, lost. And it's here and it's still in a printed format. And it's nice to see the stepping stone where it was all about pictures, and now there's barely any pictures. You know, there's 40,000 words per book, and there could have been more if it wasn't for the editors. So, yeah, I could never see that trajectory. You know, like when you're doing something, when you're a designer, you can never imagine that you would do anything different in your life, because at that moment, if you're happy, you want to do it all day, every day. If you love a band, you know, when you're 15, 16, you're like, I listen to them every day. And then you go, oh, maybe not. And then you get to the point of career when you realize, what else is out there? What else can I do with my work? Because, of course, there are people who are happily employed. I would hope happily employed. You know, they just stay because they don't want to take the risk. And then there's people like me or you who go, yeah, this might hurt a little, but it might be interesting. Might be interesting to see what I can achieve and where it takes me.
Yeah, well, there's magic in the struggle, isn't there?
Yeah, I listened to a documentary about Ben Howard yesterday, and apparently someone told him that, I might get it wrong, that the most beautiful lives are those who take risks.
Yeah.
Taking risks hurts. Taking risks makes you cry. Taking risks makes you doubt yourself. But in the end, the outcome is interesting. It's unpredictable. I think that's what we do it for.
100%. And we grow as people as well. We become the amount of experiences that teach us about ourselves and the connections we make with other people. And it's wonderful to see how far we can push something. I mean, you've done that with your own studio, which is nearly 2 decades old. And you know you wouldn't be where you are if you had not gone through all of the struggle and the pain and, oh, I wonder what would happen if I did this.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely put, as humans, we put focus on the struggle and the pain. If it was only struggle and the pain, I think we would have a very questionable conversations. Like, remind me, why'd you do it again? We work on a basis that we remember the struggle more than we remember the wins. This is why I always advocate in my books, like, celebrate the wins. Like, whatever was good today, celebrate the wins. And I struggle with it myself. Like, it only dawns on me sometimes later. I was like, oh, we did this, and this was really good. But we don't allow ourselves to celebrate. We don't allow ourselves to even have time to rest. And, well, I mean, I speak for myself mainly and people that I know. But we go from one another because the world is moving. You know, there's no like a sort of national, like, okay, everyone stop for a day, have a rest, audit yourselves, look what you've done, look how far you've come. Tomorrow we go back to work, yeah? But today, just be with yourself. We don't do that. Like, I've been listening to, and this might sound like a tangent, but I've been listening to lots of podcasts about cycling. There's an amazing podcast with Colby Pierce called Cycling in Alignment. And he's like almost like a Buddhist philosopher and coach for Team EF.
Wow.
And he literally spent 2 hours about how we should recover from a ride. not a cycle or Tour de France, just a ride, right? And he was saying like, do this, like have a break, like have time to literally spend time with my mom. Like he's broke it up into 2 hours of how we need to rest after a cycle.
Wow.
And I was like, that could easily be 2 hours of how you can handle a heavy project and then have a break and actually organize your head, you know?
Yes.
To say like, what's happened? What was good? What can I do better? Because we only think about it in a year's time, or like I could have done this differently a year later. I could have done that. We don't take time to understand what we've done. We don't reread a page. We don't listen to a podcast and go, I need to go for a cycle now just to listen to what I've listened to, you know, like just I need to sort of process it in my head. And we don't do that. We just carry on. And I've been such a sucker for going from one heavy project to another 2 at the same time. I said yes to everything, and it was good, and it was a bad one, you know. You know, and it's the overload that we easily put onto ourselves that doesn't make us always perform, and that's why we remember the struggle more than we should remember the wins.
Yeah, totally true. And I suppose we do overload ourselves because of external influences. A lot of it comes from putting pressure on ourselves, and you have to question where that pressure is coming from and why we can be so hard on ourselves. But more often it's the external influences. And given that you've been doing this for nearly 2 decades, you will only remember too well the struggles we all suffered around the global economic crisis of 2008, 2009. And I think if, yourself and I have been working since then, and if anybody's listening to this have been doing the same, we'll know only too well the kind of, oh my God, we have to work really hard. We have to keep our heads down. We have to keep going. And then we've kind of been doing that all this time. And then we get to global pandemic and now, our cost of living crisis. And we're kind of like this time round going, oh gosh, I haven't actually stopped to think about anything. All I've been doing for the last however many years is working. And so was there an element of that when you thought, right, I'll put these 2 books together? Because actually that's probably one of the biggest 2 lessons. It's the idea that, gosh, I've gone through all this pain. I don't want anybody else to go through it. But at the same time, I want to remind people to sort of just have rest and it's okay and the work will still be there type thing.
It all stems from my anxieties and insecurities. Like no one's got unlimited bank balance. If everyone had enough money and do this for pure joy, we would do everything differently. But it's, am I good enough? Is this good enough? Will people stop calling? There's this element when you're younger and more rookie in the industry that you think that the world will end because you haven't done a good job for people who are sometimes quite ungrateful anyway. You try to make your own reputation. It can feel, again, like a sort of nonsensical thing, like, why am I pleasing these people when, I might never work with them again, especially if you're doing specialist work. But the older you get, the more perspective you gain and realize, what? They're a bunch of assholes anyway. Like, I'll be better off somewhere else. Or if someone is freaking out, you're like, you recognize these patterns and how people might be feeling a lot differently when you're older. And in Mindful Creative, I document part of my 10-year journey in therapy because I love my work so hard that I broke myself repeatedly. And it was only on a burnout number 7 when my wife was like, I think you should do something about this. I love you, but it's hard to live with you because, you don't leave the house, you work hard. I appreciate your work ethic. It's amazing, but look after yourself, we need to do this better. Mm-hmm. So I when it came to the things like the pandemic, when I had for the last few years, I had up to 6 to 7, 6 staff globally. And even in a few years ago, I had actually people in the studio in Kingston. It's a melee. Like all of a sudden, you don't just need to run your work. Like you don't prioritize your own thoughts. Obviously, you have to look after the well-being of the people that you work with and make sure they enjoy the work and make sure that everything's running smoothly. And it's just, you kind of find yourself in more than your minds. You know, you should be looking after yourself and make sure that you come across as the best person to run the business and someone who's got it all together.
Yeah.
But we had, just before the pandemic, we had a second baby. I just launched a book of branding. Thank you. He will be 4 soon. Amazing. I've got 2 children. They're crazy. I love them. But, you know, everything's thrown up in the air and you go, oh, I hope things go well, you know. And if you're firefighting, you don't have time to think, you know, where did the fire come from? Oh yeah, there's a fire. Let's put out the fire and see what we can do. So all of this process, I wanted to make 2 books in 2019, 2020. Like before the pandemic, I knew there would be 2 books.
Yeah.
The beautiful side about the books is that once you start writing, again, more doors open, you know, more memories or more ideas. Like it's even though I don't write every day, I still think about what I can write. I still write daily some notes of like what I hear, what I can see, you know, what I observe, social listening, like seeing people making the same mistakes what I used to do 20 years, you know, like we have got this amazing technology that gets better every week, yet we still make the same mistakes people have been making for hundreds of years. Like,
yeah,
when will we learn? You know, when will we do this? And you mentioned it earlier about, you know, people hopefully learning from these books, and I hope they will. But these books are for the industry of people who they ask you, should I go left or should I go right? Definitely right. Okay, then I'll go left. I'm going to work it out for myself. That's 100% who I was, who I have been, who I will be. And it's only when you basically put out the fire, realize, I should have gone right, shouldn't I? I should have done that way. Like, I should have really done differently. And I've got so many like live case studies with friends I speak to on almost daily basis. And you give them advice. And sometimes you can see them, they're not even listening about what you're trying to tell them. And they're like, hear me out. Okay, I'll hear you out. And I can also help you not to say it again, because it's fine. Even halfway through the sentence, I know what you're going to tell me. I know, because I've done those mistakes 20 times. But you're not listening. You're not really listening. Like, this is the problem. Like, if there's anything that I've learned for life, it's to just stop and listen. Because just like everyone who's creative, who starts in the industry, you want to make sure that you prove your worth. So you start finishing people's sentences. You try to suggest things that you think they will be helpful to the project. And it can feel absolutely natural because you want to prove yourself. You want to say, like, I'm here for the reason in this room. Whereas if you're young, it's okay to listen. It's okay to wait for your time. And it's like, I speak less and I give people more space to express themselves, because I don't feel the anxiety anymore. I don't feel like I need to prove my worth. And I never had an imposter syndrome as a designer, but I realized I had some form of an imposter syndrome as an immigrant. You know, I felt like, you know, I mingled with the type of society which I thought was quite alien to me. You know, and I had to sort of accept it. So we all have some form of, you know, internal imposter in us. You know, we are always anxious about something, and that gives us, in a way, a way how we react to things, how we say stuff, how we, you know, respond to things. And it's the gift to yourself is like, I can see the situation. I can see what's being said. It's okay not to say anything, even for 5 minutes, and let them crash that car and tell them what they could have done better. I can tell you now, don't crash it, but I will let you do it because you will learn from it, and I can respond in a manner that you will actually listen to me. So
This is why I was laughing before, because I was like, you know, it's great that you've released these books, but knowing what we're like as humans, we kind of just need to go and make the mistakes ourselves, don't we? It's the only way we really learn.
But I just hope that there are tools for people when they realize, you know what, maybe I should stop making these mistakes, or maybe I should find out if I'm not alone making these mistakes. Because
exactly,
my horrific burnout was about, like, I felt the loneliest person in the world. Like, when I was on the tube, I was like, why is everyone okay? And I'm broken. Why is everyone okay? And then you realize, no one's okay.
No one's okay. See, this is the thing. They offer reassurance. It might be that, yes, they might have to go through making those mistakes again. But it's just knowing that you are not alone. That's the kind of thing. And having somebody else like yourself structure it in a way that says, okay, these are the things you're going to come across if you run your own creative business, or if you're, climbing the career ladder in the industry itself. It's just that warm hug, these things happen. This is the way it is. And here's some tools for you to use should you come across these things again, or for the first time in many cases.
I would say I haven't written these books because I thought, what a great idea.
Yeah.
The universe showed up with sort of evidence and clues and say, you know what? There isn't such thing. Like the world doesn't need another freelance book about freelancing. The world doesn't need another branding book. The world doesn't need another portfolio book or about graphic design. Yet I've created them all, and they worked because they found that little connection. And I'm always happy that somebody sees it and sends a message and say, you know what, it's got me through a hard time. I've got things in my life that got me through hard times, and it's just like you're making it. If one person says, you know what, thank you, that was what I just needed, that's worth it. Because if you try to please masses, or if you try to speak to everyone, you're not going to have any conversation with anyone because it'd be just too busy. But it's what I wanted to do. And I can only do it in my style. It's just have a conversation with someone. If I sit, if you and I sit down in a pub or Starbucks, maybe the first time, it's the real stories. You're not going to say, how's your EBITDA at the moment? How's your books? You're not going to say, how's your pipeline? Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
It's like, are you okay? How is it going? This is like we're sailing the same waters, and we do it together. Yet sometimes we feel very alone doing this. And this is what I wanted to do. And the truth is that I wanted to release 2 books at the same time because I thought Mindful Creative would just get lost because it's such an important body of work. But I wanted to create a toolbox where this is the rules, not the rule. This is how you can set up your business, and this is how you can survive it. Like literally, I just wanted to create my double album, my ambitious double album. Inspired by Guns N' Roses, User Illusions 1 and 2 from my early
good analogy.
Teenager. Yeah. I remember getting those 2 cassettes. I was like,
yes,
double album.
Oh, I know. Those were the days.
It was amazing, absolutely amazing. So I just wanted to create 2 things at the same time because they're conversation starters, and there's, in a way too much information in both of books. Like I love, for example, how Austin Kleon says, five words on a page and that's it. There's a man who published three books of very little content, but with such important stuff. Whereas in Mindful Creative, we go into the depths of having meditations. We have the whole process of like, okay, this is where you are. It might be heavy. This might be the reasons why it is. Stop, have a look at what you're doing, what you've done, how far you've come, what you want to do next. Then define. In both books, there's a section on defining yourself. No one does that. No one. We define it for our clients. We define audiences. We define,
we don't personas. Have time. We don't have time.
Well, and that's where it gets us. We're like, I wish I did that differently. So in Mindful Creative, and actually in both books, like define your enough. Like, what is it that you want? Because you put one successful post, you put a post on social media, it does well. How many more likes do you want? 1, 2, 5? How many is going to be enough? And then you just, you put another post out and doesn't do well at all, and you're depressed. Well, all the posts before didn't do well. If one peaks, it's okay. That's how life works. That's but we beat ourselves about it, and we've created all of these weird expectations. They are not based on any sort of reality or past. We made up new rules with new emerging technology, and we just go hell for leather. We can talk about AI and all of the other things. Like all of a sudden, what's your enough? What's your enough? Where do you want to be? Because if you are true, at least to some sort of temporary vision, it guides you. It makes it easier. It makes it easier to where you want to be, and makes you happier with where you are.
Yeah, that's right.
The happiness is calm.
Yeah, it's an anchor point because we can just sort of go off on complete tangents, can't we? And just be sort of drifting in space, just not really sort of knowing what we're doing. We're just sort of, surviving and doing what we can to continue doing something we love for a living. and making money and covering our bills. But actually, if you just kind of make a plan and start that plan with defining who you are and what it is that you do and who you're sort of targeting, that can just be your kind of solid anchor throughout the whole chaos that you can keep coming back to again and again. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when NFTs came through. NFT, like that sort of, was it 21? I don't know. I remember it was February.
It's just been a whirlwind.
I just landed the clients I always wanted to have. I had my studio at a place I always wanted to be. I was getting paid. The studio was making the money I always wanted to make, in a way to be secure, have the right budgets, have the right clients, doing the work that I remember being exactly perfectly aligned with what I always wanted. And NFTs came out and everyone was like, oh, look, I'm a millionaire, whatever, like just people it just went crazy. It was a wild west of testosterone, youth, energy, adrenaline, money, whatever on Twitter. And I was looking at it thinking, if I didn't know what I wanted, I would be making NFTs. I would be chasing that weird thing that just came up, and I would be, doing that. Whereas it's okay to be where you are, because if somebody makes some sort of pretend cryptocurrency that might go and did go down anyway, it's okay to try to work out who you want to be. But if you don't have that long-term vision, then all of a sudden, all the NFT boys started talking about AI and all of this stuff. It's just shape-shifting. Shape-shifting is absolutely fine, but it only happens because you don't really know where you want to be. Because, I could never imagine writing instead of designing, but then it does both things together. It's just the things. But I knew what makes me feel something and what is my long-term plan and what is my identity. What is my body of portfolio? What's my body of work? And mostly, how do I put it all together that it joins up? Because if you just throw it out of whack and go and throw in you're a crypto artist, all of a sudden, because on one day you wear something different, it's not going to work. The universe is not going to follow it correctly because it doesn't follow correctly the path, So I remember defining what I wanted, knowing that calm and that happiness, knowing that we are in the right place at the right time, because I've spent literally 20 years making it. It was perfect feeling, because look where we are now.
It's very mindful, actually. And it feels like these two books have sort of come out at exactly the right time, because I don't know about you, but every creative that I talk to at the moment feels that 2023 out of the last 4 or 5 years has been the most challenging, the most difficult. Everybody seems to be exhausted. It's not everybody. Some people are doing really, really well and having their best year ever. But a lot of people are exhausted and feeling a little bit kind of, oh my God, what is the point? There's so much doom and gloom. The economy's dragging its feet, and it's in bear markets like this, when everything slows down, that I guess us creatives can feel a little bit kind of burnt out and worrying about our future. And, we've got the extra level of anxiety of AI, some of whom are embracing, and others are like, oh, just go away. Yeah. I don't want to know. I've had enough. It's been too much, too quick, too soon, all the time. Help, people feel like they're drowning a little bit. So I think these two books are just the perfect antidote to all of the kind of madness of the current times, don't you think?
I think I might have a knack of publishing books at the right time.
Have you done all this on purpose? Is it everything that's going on in the world all down to you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, crikey. I knew about COVID in November 2019. No, I was lucky that I wanted to make a book about branding, and that was in November 2019. It was mainly because my son was due in December 2019.
Sure.
So, as they say, make the book before you have children, otherwise it's not going to happen. So, so that was our second child, and pandemic hit, and I was lucky to be in the right place at the right time, because I was on virtual bookshelves all around the world, and people wanted to start their business.
Yeah,
so that was the luck. We're in 2023, and of course, these books are actually direct or semi-direct response to what's going on right now. You can. Well, it's what I'm trying. Maybe what I'm trying to say with this answer is that if you know your true north, and if you know what you want to do, and if you know who you're working with, all of these tremors and these earthquakes shouldn't really matter, because you build your own connections, you build your own network of clients, because there is a key in creating a long-term value work. It's having a long-term value clients and long-term value work. And that was the reason why I sort of switched to the studio format and tried to do work with clients that have longer requirements, but also for work that stays around for longer. So as an illustrator, especially in editorial, your work would be bent in 3 days. You know, like it would just appear on the website and go away. And I didn't want to do this. And what have seen me through by not taking any work for almost a year is having meaningful connections with a client that I have nurtured and worked for a long time that have made me see through. So I can see that website inquiries have stopped, and there's a few inquiries from the book. And the book was an amazing tool for getting new work in the pandemic and post-pandemic, because it's around the world and it was bought by particular type of audience, which were slightly more mature and in a sort of better sort of placed job. So it was an amazing door opener, which I never intended to. It was like, I never hoped for these things to work, because, if you do, it never works. But these books are kind of about setting the baseline and setting the optimal conditions. From my feature, I mentioned the inspiration for this was quote by Ken Robinson. So the job of a gardener is not to make the plant grow, it's to make the optimal condition for the plant grow. And most of us don't have optimal conditions at all. Like, we just hope for the best. You wake up in your jammies, just go straight to your computer, eat your breakfast at 11, just the run that you wanted to go for feels a bit weird to go at 6 o'clock in the evening, because you've been sat at your desk and you already feel sort of morose. And we don't put optimal conditions. And even knowing what optimal conditions are, sometimes you just get just taken by the moment, and you just go with the day, and the day goes. You don't know if you don't plan the day, then the day will take hold of you, and you don't seem like you're winning, and you don't have your sort of point about what's going to make me happy today. Because I worked on these books, for example, for 9 months. I'm yet to hit the point where I've got a tiny microdose of dopamine, because it's such a long process that you can feel deflated, you can feel exhausted, and there's still more to go, and you're like, what have I done? So it's optimal conditions is about sort out your business, put the right process in place, because you don't have to do it more than once. You can build up your clientele, look how you're doing it, have the right expectations of the work that you're doing, because if you're a specialist, you'll be fixing, the leaky pipes in the house once, and that's done. That's the analogy. Like, you're a plumber, so you're doing one thing once. But if you want to build houses, if you want to build towns, and sort of hypothetically, then you're kind of creating yourself more work and more future and more stability in the work. So that's what worked with our studio. They'd be, taking the visual storytelling to a level where we create brands and e-commerce and that kind of stuff. There's plenty of work for a long time, just to do with a selected number of people. We don't have to chase for more and more and more, because that seems kind of like almost like a disinformation, like more work, more clients, new this, new that. No, focus on 3 people and compliment them, and sweet talk them and say, I want to work with you because you're amazing. Not as in like, oh, look, I'm running a studio. Hey, I'm still here. And and that's the reasons why the books are about both elements, like sort out your business, do it right, because the people who you do business with, they often get it right. They've got you sorted, and they want you to be on par, because they will see you as your equal. And the second book is about how to process and metabolize it in your life, like how to actually find that calm in your life and work. Calm is another word for happiness. You don't have to be ecstatic because you've done something really well, or, it's just, are you okay with where you are? And this is the processes. So
are you good at following your own advice though?
I am. Well, obviously I'm not always. No one's always perfect.
You have your pajama
But,
days like the rest of us. There are those
yeah,
days when you're just
I have
like,
showers this morning. Yeah.
yeah, same. I got dressed. I put my lipstick on. This is good. This is progress. And it's small. Do you know, it's small things like that. Sometimes you have to give yourself the permission to say, well done. You got dressed today. Because like working from home, for example, is not an easy feat. You haven't got that kind of motivation to get ready and get out of the house and go on the tram or get in the car or whatever. You just have to kind of be this very disciplined person. And when you're working as hard as you are and I are, then, sometimes you just, I'm just going to stink today. And I'm going to take my bowl of cornflakes to my desk with me and
I'm lucky that we've got school time. We have to get the kids out. So
see,
I'm awake. I'm awake at 6:30. I'm getting everyone up and making coffees and breakfast and stuff. And I'm back working from home after sharing studio space with Dan Woodger, the illustrator.
Lovely.
We had an office together for, I think I was there for 4 or 5 years, and it was very good. I mean, I worked from home for about 11 years, then for 6 out as in offices, various places, and now I'm back home because of where we moved and the different sort of chapter of life, and I love it. If it wasn't for, because my life admin is more complicated. School pickups, apparently schools finish at 3:00. Never thought about that before, It's a joke, but I used to work till 8, 9 o'clock every day, and now it's like everything's changed, and I used to cycle. I was late. I had to get on my bike to get to the studio, to come back. And of course, it was nice to have these little sort of dividers, the bookends to one thing, because you can be focusing on one thing in the studio for 5 hours. You go home to your family and they look at you like, what happened? I'm like, oh, I haven't switched my brains. I'm still on a client call. I'm still doing this. So it's nice to have a refreshers to sort of to divide things. But following my own advice is, I definitely wouldn't be able to finish 2 books in a year if I carried on the same as before. Like all the previous stuff was created alongside work and hoping for the best. I just had to change.
Yeah. That's great to hear that you've managed to achieve it. And is one of the part of that process learning how to say no?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's not an easy process. I mean, the number of times I literally cried thinking this is not going to happen because the anxiety sort of bubbles up to the top. And I remember I wanted to finish the books by May because I wanted to have a pivot. I wanted to change. And I realized just after Christmas, I was like, this is not going to happen. We've got 2 kids in the car. Like, this is everything. Like, there's no space to write. There's no space to do this. And my wife, she's the clever one. She's the wise one of the 2 of us. And she was like, look, no more work. I'll help you to do this. This is what you need to do. I'll help you to achieve it. Of course, we've been together for 15 years. I've been doing it for a while. Like, we know how we work. And yeah, unfortunately for her, she's been the first, she's been the witness of the process. And
long
she
suffering.
She had to fix me quite a few times because you not only like there's an easiness to making these books now because I don't scrutinize every word that's written. I don't scrutinize anything. It very much goes to the Abraham Lincoln quote, give me 6 hours to chop down a tree and I'll spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. These books have been coming together piece by piece for 9 months, literally like bit by bit. Like we tried to illustrate the covers a year ago, they didn't work. Like we tried to do other things, didn't work. We tried to find the right illustrator, didn't work. It was the things that were coming together were very much of like, I know the vision. It's going to be printed in 2 colors, no more boring paperbacks. Whatever. I want to do this. It's going to be illustrated. I want this type of illustration. So after all, when it came to creating the books, I've deleted Instagram ages ago. Only originally.
Oh, well, I want to ask you about that in a minute. I've
only reinstalled it like a week ago or 2 weeks ago because you don't need to know everything. Like it's designed to steal your time. Your wasted time is someone's share price, And I've deleted Instagram many times before. I only go through like web browsers to Twitters and Facebook and stuff. Like none of the apps are on my phone. LinkedIn the same. It's better on a mobile. Of course it is. Go away. Every time you click on a LinkedIn through a browser. And that's how they make money. That's what they do. I mean, they are tools, and they are good tools for certain sort of limit and level. However, they make money because we waste our time watching the same thing.
Well, they were great. They were great years ago when you and I started out on this process, because they helped us promote ourselves very, for free and very easily. And it was great back in the day because you could build communities really easily. And now it's kind of like social media's changed beyond belief, hasn't it? So it's interesting to hear your thoughts on that, and that you've deleted Instagram, because the engagement has just fallen off a cliff, hasn't it?
I mean, yeah. I mean, this is the question. What do you expect from Instagram? What you don't own the traffic, and this is why I mentioned having a website as the sort of sole focus 15, 20 years ago. For 2006, I think was the heyday. It was like, this is my website. Come to my website.
Yes,
and people did. It's so fragmented. It's so. I mean, again, If you would buy Creativity for Self-Hoping, I will tell you how to be a social media star, then don't do it, because I'm very much like, build your website, own your traffic, sort out your messaging, build your newsletter so you can have a direct contact in the inboxes where you need to go. And of course, be on social. Like, no one says you shouldn't be there, but don't treat it like that's what you expect in it to change your life, because it won't. No. I mean, it's a lot of work to be sort of obeying by someone else's rules and kind of working someone else's different structures and algorithms. And you can easily, because we think we should be appealing to everyone from everywhere.
Yeah.
But it's the micro niche, and it's like, okay, I'm working with all these people. I want to speak only to these people, and not necessarily promoting yourselves to other creatives all the time, because what creatives do, hey, look, you're a designer, I'm a designer too. Great.
It's all a bit absurd, don't you think? Like, I think LinkedIn's a helpful tool, but when I read other people's posts on there, I kind of think, oh gosh, I should probably be doing that. And then I can't bring myself to do it because it just feels like such a showy-offy type thing to do. But I'd much rather just let my work do the kind of talking.
But it's about defining you. Like, you know who you are. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it.
Yeah.
I'm literally like, I'm just come back to social because I've got books to sell, and I like to share what's inside. Like, I've created content which is first and foremost in paperback and audiobook. That's my sort of 3-year splurge. You're like, okay, here's what I've been thinking and working on, and I think this is valuable. And best of all is you can take it away from LinkedIn or from social, and you can read it in your own time and in your own peace, and be with it, in your own space. And you look at the formats of things, like you look at like how people sort of follow the same format of presenting themselves on Instagram, and people put all the emojis before paragraphs on LinkedIn, and you're like, I guess that's what happens here, but you will never pay me to do it. Like, I've got my own level. I've got my own version of chaos. Like, this is what I am. This is what I do. It's not thought out much. It's just like, because that's auxiliary. This is not my brand shop. My brand shop is my shop, my website, my let's say my Amazon page. This is where I operate, when I go control, and it's much smaller playground. Because when you said social media has gone crazy, like LinkedIn used to be like about text posts, and Instagram about images, and this Behance about case studies, and all of a sudden everything's everything now. Like, the edges have blurred, and you're like, what do you expect? Because someone just posts like a daily stuff on LinkedIn, and you're like, all right, you've read a course, you've done a course, like, but it's too much. Like,
so you've not got a TikTok account then? You're not dancing over on there? I
do have a TikTok account with about 2 posts and 2 followers, but
wow.
I only got it because I was curious what the hell it's about. But I looked at it like twice, and in my way, it's like, you don't want to be the old farts. They're just sort of like, oh, in my days we didn't do this, so I'm not going to do it now. Yeah. Which is fine, because to create contemporary work, to create work that's in line with what we do now, you need to be in touch with, how the world exists. Like, you can't be sort of, I mean, there's lots of people on my LinkedIn feed who I was like, okay, that was the work you created in 1995, and you are still you, and you're still doing your thing. which is fine. But I couldn't be that person. I just want to sort of understand how the world's changing, how the thing is, it inspiring people, how it makes them feel. And with, for example, even like making the book covers, like, okay, how do I make it so it's me and it's the antidote of boring, or it's the antidote of the standard of the mainstream? And I look on Amazon in weird categories where they've put me, because you've got control. I mean, we can spend 5 hours talking about book publishing, and I put my books in the categories where I want them, and then Amazon goes, business ethics. I'm like, okay, let's see how we're doing in business ethics. And you see all these covers. I'm like, is it 1984? Like, what year is it? Like, sometimes the world doesn't try really hard in every single way. Like, I'm sure what's in the best business ethics books is very good for business ethics people. But I'm there with my sort of, flowery heads and my man on a bike, with my neon covers. I'm like, well, that's what we do. Like if I didn't create this version of reality, it would never be here, and someone might not see it to make their own version of their reality. So it's about kind of sometimes sticking up 2 fingers to the reality and going, hey, let's try this and see how it works.
Love it. Being a rebel. And so what do you do when the thing you love becomes work and it's no longer fun? I mean, you've probably been in that situation. You're old enough to have gone through that moment.
Yeah, it was mainly about... I have to say, it was mainly about when you try to sort of distill your ego the most. Because creative work is always fun, but it only depends how you approach it. So you get people who are happy art workers working on something really simple. And you get someone with an ego. It's like, hey, can you do a timesheet? I didn't start doing this for this reason, And I just feel like ego is the part where, I mean, there's many different reasons, but ego is the part where we believe we should be doing something different. We believe we shouldn't be doing what we're doing. We should believe we should be doing with different clients. We almost like lose the focus of the situation that we're in. So we say, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. This should be different. Whereas I have been very much in that situation for a very long time, because I was pushing a certain visual style, signature style, certain aesthetic. And I was doing it with bigger food chain where I was not necessarily allowed to do it properly. So I thought, oh, it's just a work. It's blood money, let's do this and let's forget about this. Whereas the pendulum swung in my current work that I'm not always doing the work that is most progressive or most interesting, but right now I have to see it as a sort of a sort of secondary avenue to what I want to do first. So not only have we been making books, but I've also been launching a coffee brand, which I haven't even mentioned to you. It was sort of beautiful way of sort of exploring the visual, the resistance, as Stephen Pressfield puts it. It's the resistance. So like when I was stuck, I wanted to launch a coffee brand, so we got it ready. But it never, when you feel like the work is just the work, it's something's not quite right with you. The work itself, if you ask 5 people if it's okay, 4 of them are most likely to say it is. And it's like, are you okay? Is your energy fine? Are you tired? Are you burnt out? Where are you going? It all, as we said it, like the fix starts from within. Like, it's not necessary that the universe is conspiring against you, giving you shit work. It's possibly that you haven't put yourself in the right place, or you haven't potentially appreciated what you've got, or you want to be somewhere else. And that's where the moment is not quite right, because you can put a Michelin star food in front of someone and they go like, what's that? And then you get someone who like, oh, I've been dreaming to eat this all my life. And it could be like two people side by side. So I think burnout was the only time, like after having sort of having kids, especially the second one, I was a zombie. I was not enjoying things for a while. I was tired. I was like broken sleep for 5 hours, full day of work, pandemic, all of that together. It was pretty scary. And yeah, that felt that I didn't have the spark and the joy for anymore, even though I just had a new book out, everything was going well, there was inquiries coming, but I was like, there was nothing wrong with the world. per se, apart from the COVID. But it was me. I wasn't, fully recharged and fully, in my tank full of fuel to go well. So I always now try to look at the problem first, because, as I said, a 9 out of 10 or 4 out of 5 people would say there's nothing wrong with what you're trying to do here. Make sure that you're okay. And I think that makes the difference, because, as creative people, we can always make the pivot. We can always do something different, because if it doesn't make your soul happy, then you should put your soul and spend it somewhere else. But it's, I think we are in that position where you can do what you like. You can do what you like, and you're most likely to make a career out of it.
I love it. It's so lovely to chat with you, Radim, and hear about your career so far. And obviously you've got so much more to come. Looking again at these 2 books, I mean, it sounds like it's been a therapeutic process for you too. What do you think is your biggest takeaway from all of this?
Growth. I think just learning how to grow. I think if you stay still, then you're a little bit doomed. I think, as I said, I'm very happily married to someone who gets it. I watch TED Talks and read books, and she's had horses all her life, and she understands the animals, she understands people, she understands how we feel. And she's going to show me how to grow and sort of spot the signs of when I'm going wrong. And both books finish with a section on growth, like just grow, be, just where do you go in next? Like in the business section is like, in creativity for sale is like, what can you improve? What can you do? Where do you go in next? Like you finished the baseline. Now, how do you make it better every day? Or what do you do with it? And in mindful creative, it's like, okay, you fixed yourself. You worked on yourself. Don't go back. Don't go back because you don't want to. Like, do you really want the chaos again? No, not really. I think you just, and again, it makes more sense to me. I'm 45 now. Everything makes more sense to me, When I arrived in England, I lived with the family, and I told the guys like, hey, look, I think I figured it all out. It was like, yeah, you've got some time before you figure it all out. You still got some time. And the takeaway is that you need to live a little. You need to understand what is it that you're trying to tackle. What is it not? The creativity being the untamed beast. You want to make sure that which part of which tentacle or not testicle, obviously, which tentacle of
I
the
haven't got any testicles. Just to be clear,
sort of the multifaceted. Sort of, it's like a creativity is like an octopus, it's an untamed beast. You've got too many options. You've got too many like ideas and too many variations of what you can do. And that's why I feel sometimes like you can't make the right decision. And it's like when you take time to understand the basics, it helps you to make better choices. And you can be more focused and more determined of just stop trying, 17 different options. I knew what these books were going to look like 3 years ago. I was always going to make this product, being this thing. And it all comes with growth. It just comes with making sure where you want to go, where you've been, how you got here, how you're going to get where you want to go next. And yeah, I think it's a magical thing because all of a sudden it's more enjoyable. It might be the same thing you've done yesterday, but more enjoyable today, just because you got more clarity, you got more perspective on what you want to do. And yeah, it just makes for calmer and happier life. I always have to say calmer because the happiness, you can't always make it happen, but you can always find a way how to be calm and how to be sort of happy and grateful for what you've got.
So tame the chaos and find the calm and build your foundation, and then everything from that point forward it makes sense.
Yeah, it's easy to summarize it in one sentence, but the process is like
I could have saved you 9 months.
Oh, you could have saved me 20 years.
Oh, well, myself included, it's a great age to be, our mid-40s. Fantastic to be able to be in this kind of nice, we've got that confidence now. We've got the scars, but we've survived. Yeah. We are in the midst of another kind of, bear market now, but we've been here before. We know how these things work. We know that work might be sluggish at the moment, but we know things are going to pick up again?
I think people tell themselves that everything should be okay all the time. I think that's what we expect. Like, we expect just, sunshine and ice cream and happy days. And it's, as we talked at the beginning of the conversation, like, we remember the bad bits more than we remember the good bits. But the bad bits are the ones that shape us. And I remember one of my therapists said, like, people come here because they want to avoid feeling bad. What they need to do, they just need to learn how to understand feeling bad and how to feel okay feeling bad. And that kind of goes to everything, Shit will always happen. It will always go bad. If there's things out of our control, even in our control, we make mistakes. But it's understanding that you can bounce back, you can recover from those things much quicker, and just carry on and just kind of, make a new mistake and bounce back and just grow on your journey of life, because that's what makes it exciting. That's what makes it exciting, because it will never be easy, or it shouldn't even be easy. And that's what will make us stronger and better and kind of grow as a whole sort of civilization. Because, as I said at the beginning, like, we make the same mistakes our ancestors made. We've got all the tools, all the apps, everything. But, it's just kind of making sure that the information is propagated into the society at a younger age, and giving people more tools to do better. And that's exactly why I've been making books, just to share what I know and just kind of open it as a conversation between me and the reader. It was like, hey, look, if you had me in a pub for 3 hours, I would tell you all of this. And it would cost you potentially more than £17. But I think it's magical, because the world is much more open. There's fewer gatekeepers. I don't need a publisher. I can run my own publishing company. I can put this all together myself, have help of editors and proofreaders, and like my sort of team, which I don't have to wait for someone to give me permission to be creative. I don't have to wait for any of this. You can do it. If you fail, try again. If you fail, it's just, we never know obviously how well this might do, but I can be anxious about it one day, or I can just listen to my wife's advice and say, look, it will do how it do. It's okay. And it always reminds me of a quote by John Mayer, the musician. He says, what do you think is your career highlight? It just goes like that. It just basically, the world, just the internet, the world goes, whatever. And if you just you just put some random thing out and people go like, that's the most amazing thing you ever done. We think that the world should be sticking to our expectations and our hopes. Like, these are the best books ever. For me, we'll see what the world thinks about them. Like, just when you open it, you might find something in it, you might not. And that's how we accept it, because it's not for everyone all the time, or if at all. Yeah.
Well, Radim, thank you so much for your time today. I've really enjoyed this. I think I've certainly had gained a lot out of it, and I'm sure our listeners will have too. And your books are available now, and we'll include all that information on our show notes. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you to Radim Malinic for joining us this week. To learn more about anything we've covered, visit our show notes at creativeboom.com/podcast. Next time, we'll chat with Melissa Robertson, CEO of creative agency Dark Horses and director of Menopause Mandate, a not-for-profit organisation that lobbies for more support and education around menopause. We'll chat about Melissa's own experiences of menopause, the symptoms and the impact, and we'll cover what the creative industry can do to better understand it and support women during this chapter of their lives. If you haven't already, please subscribe via any of the usual channels, and every Monday you'll get conversations with creatives that will help you build a booming creative career. See you next week.